Welcome to Scoop Owners Thursday. We are riding along. Work week is over. All the hay is in the barn. It is time for the Bucks to get ready to roll against Western Kentucky. We're going to break down what does that mean. How can we get better as we are en route to South Bend next week? So we're going to go through all that. A lot of interesting questions yesterday, answered by Justin Fry. Justin was a very vocal guy talking about needing more violence in the offensive line. So we're talking about what that means. Tim Walton was on the stand. A lot of guys came through. We're going to break all that down. And we're also going to break down what we've been hearing from inside the Woody Hayes. Obviously, Ryan Day is going to get this offense right. This is going to be a big week for him en route to Notre Dame. Again, this is a nice level jump from the past 2 weeks. So we're going to see a real passing attack. And we're going to get into that. But as always, I got to say that I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. Another record breaking day on BuckeyesScoop.com. If you guys are not members of BuckeyesScoop.com, I don't know what you're doing. Best companion there is for football, both Ohio State, both NFL, and we've got a ton of topics going on. Great people on there. And if you enjoy this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. I appreciate all you guys. You guys are chiming in from all over the place. Portsmouth, Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio, New Albany, Lewis Center, Columbus, Naples, Omaha, Nebraska, Los Angeles, California, all over the world. We appreciate you guys tuning in and shouting out where you guys are from. So leave that down in the comments where you guys are watching from. With that being said, gotta get to my good friend Nevada. Nevada, how are you today?
Doing great, man. It's just 48 hours away from Ohio State getting it on with Western Kentucky, and I think people are going to be really pleased. I think this is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be an entertaining one, and I think they're going to see some stuff they haven't seen yet this year. And I think it's going to be a big step forward for both the offense and the defense, and I can't wait to see it.
What was your initial reaction when Justin Fry said yesterday at the podium that he wanted to see more violence out of the offensive line? He wanted to see more physicality, more toughness. What was your reaction to that? Was that a call out? Was that a statement of fact? But when you heard that, what was the reaction?
Well, I guess I should ask you the question as an old offensive lineman, and you are getting old now. You're not the youngster anymore.
I'm very old.
You're the old.
I'm very old. Yes.
But how would you feel if your coach said you did as an offensive lineman that you didn't play with a lot of violence and stuff? I mean, that sounds like a call out to me, but I guess the best is for you.
It's absolutely a call out. It's that these guys are soft. These guys are carrying their Louis Vuitton purses into the stadium, their Christian Louboutin purses in the stadium like Marvin Harrison, and they play like it. You know, I mean, they play like when they're in the trenches, they're hitting the defensive tackles with their purses. They're not moving anybody off the ball. They're getting whipped. Again, if this wasn't a monetized episode, I'd say a lot more colorful language, but they're getting crushed by guys that shouldn't crush them. So when you're, that dude, when you're a guy who's a first round projected mock draft guy and all these other guys, like, you shouldn't be getting whipped by 1AA guys. And it's happening. Again, I think the biggest falls are hand placement. I think your hand placement is absolutely putrid, terrible. If I could lock Justin Fry and Mike Slaney in a room, I'd say, look, I know what you guys are doing. Put that sled away. Let's start hitting guys, real guys. Get your hands inside. Refit your hands and help some of these guys. But, I mean, I would take that personally. I'd be very angry if someone said we weren't playing with any violence, because basically it says that you guys are a bunch of pussies, a bunch of soft guys that can't really play offensive line. Because that's what it means when you say you're not playing with any violence. That's what he's trying to tell you, and hopefully somebody will take that to heart. I don't know who the leader is in that room. I would assume it's Donnie Jackson because he's got the most career starts, but he's a quiet guy. He's probably the nicest guy on the team. I don't know if he has that gear to really, great guys and get after guys, but sometimes when you're the old head and you're a guy that has played a lot, maybe you're not used to talking, but you have to say some stuff that might hurt some feelings. And again, when I played there, I didn't talk for 4 years. And then my 5th year, when I was a captain, I had to talk, and I wasn't scared to hurt feelings. And magically, our offensive line was pretty good. We were grinding along, doing really well. And a lot of us, because, you have to be the tone setter when you're the old head. And again, that's not something that Donnie's used to. because you had Paris, who was a tone setter, you had Dewan, you had Luke Whippler, but now, man, you're the dude. So, I mean, and Donnie, who I love to death because he wears my jersey number, he's number 74, has been terrible all season. His tape is an absolute abomination and an embarrassment to the number 74. And he's a guy that's a preseason first team All-American, preseason first round draft pick in all of the ESPN drafts, Mel Kiper's drafts, Lewis Riddick's drafts, Jordan Reed's drafts. All these ESPN, they all have him as a first round pick. He's been terrible. And he's a guy that needs to be a tone setter and a guy that needs to say, hey, this is unacceptable. It's time to start moving people, start beating people down, and getting our hands inside. Because again, he's got more ability than anybody on the team other than Marvin or Emeka. And he's played like one of the worst players on the entire squad. So, it's up to Donnie to get it right. I mean, again, he's the old head. Josh Fryer, year-wise, is older than he is, but he doesn't have the experience that Donnie has. Donnie's started for a couple of years. He's been a really good player. He's a good player last year. Played in the playoff game against Georgia, played in the Michigan game. Josh Fryer was a spectator for that. So you got to see the way. But again, sometimes it's not fun to be the leader. Sometimes it's not fun to call guys out and get them a little stirred up and get that consternation going. But I think Donnie's got a shot at that. What are your thoughts on that, Nevada? Is that too far? Is that legit? Again, the biggest thing is when you're a position coach like Justin Fry, you're a GA like Mike Solani, and then you've got Donnie, who's a preseason All-American. If all three of you guys are underachieving and being terrible, right, so far through 2 games, you got to put the pedal down. And sometimes it's not fun. People won't like you. They don't like what you have to say. But it's go time, dude. There's no more time to waste because we need a big one this week. We need a productive step forward because when you go to Notre Dame, and again, I don't think Notre Dame's great. They're not. It's not Florida. It's not Bama. It's not USC or Georgia, but they at least have decent players. They're probably not as good as Jack Story and JT2 Malawau, but they're at least better than Youngstown State, who pushed us around, and they're better than Western Kentucky, who I hope doesn't push us around. But what are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
I mean, look, I far be it for me to tell you anything about offensive line plays. I'm out of my element talking about it, but I do watch football, and I have been part of football for a long time, and I just think that, look, we talked all fall camp about how they were moving guys around from left side to right side to first team to third team, from field 1 to field 2. And the benefit was they got a lot of reps, and that was a good thing. It was a pro concept brought in by Joe Philbin. Mm-hmm. But we said that because of all that mixing and mashing and moving, that maybe this offensive line is going to come together a little slower than people might want. And so here we are. It's been 2 weeks. We're going into week 3. And no, the offensive line hasn't gelled as this cohesive, well-humming, well-oiled machine. Should we really be surprised? I mean, we talked about it all fall, and we talked about this. So people that are regular subscribers, people that have been on these podcasts before, no, this is not something that we're just talking about now, just making it up. It's not excuse making. This is what we exactly talked about during fall camp. So to me, not that surprised. Not that surprised that an offense with new tackles, and a new center is coming together a little bit slower. Does Donnie Jackson's specific performance surprise me? Yeah, I thought he'd be a rock. I thought he would be unbelievable this year. And to me, that's on Justin Fry. If Justin Fry can't get Donnie Jackson to play at an acceptable level, then that's on Justin Fry. And if he can't do it, then Justin Fry should resign and go do inspirational speeches or male modeling or whatever it is that Justin Fry does. But it's clearly not coaching these guys up, because Donnie Jackson should be an All-American this year, not a guy that we're talking about being one of the worst players on the roster. That's on the position coach. That's my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. Again, I think Ryan Day, what he did to these kids during fall camp was completely idiotic. I think he's an idiot for trying to move guys around that aren't seasoned at their positions. And again, that's just being a passing game guy. That's being a guy that doesn't understand offensive line play. When you're moving, Josh Simmons, whatever his name is, from right tackle, third team, to left tackle, second team, to right tackle, second team, to right tackle, first team, to left tackle, first team. And then you're moving, Zen Mikulski and George Fitzpatrick, and they're playing second team, third team, left, right. Tigra's playing right tackle. Oh, now Tigra's playing left tackle. It's like, so you basically have like 20 guys who have no idea what they're doing, and they're terrible at everything they do because you won't let them stay at one position. Again, if you had Kyle McCord and Devin Brown say, okay, Kyle and Devin, you guys are going to play quarterback today. Tomorrow you're going to play fullback, and then the next day you're going to play tight end. You're going to play receiver. Like it's just completely out. And that's what they did with the O-line guys. I'm like, look, these guys, for one, aren't good enough. I mean, a lot of them stink. A lot of them are probably going to transfer after the season because, they couldn't get a real spot. Like a guy like Tigra isn't good enough at just right tackle to bounce from right tackle to left tackle to right guard to first team, second team, third team, up and down the chart. It's like they're not good enough to play one spot. You can't bounce those guys around. But again, Ryan Day is an NFL mentality guy. He's a guy that doesn't know anything about playing offensive line. He's a passing game guy. So he thinks these guys are just all disposable pieces in the offense. And I think that, for him, it was some sort of beneficial thing. Again, if you're in the NFL and you only just 7 guys on game day, it makes sense to play guys at multiple tackles. So it's like DeJuan Jones, all of camp was playing right and left tackle because they thought he'd be the swing tackle. Now, all of a sudden, Jack Conklin tears his ACL and MCL. DeJuan's a starting right tackle. So, but I mean, if Jedrick Wills would have torn his ACL and MCL, DeJuan's probably playing left tackle for the Browns, or they move Conklin over to left and they put DeJuan at right. But in college, when you have 20 guys on scholarship that all travel, you probably travel 15 offensive linemen. Like you don't need to balance guys around, especially when a lot of them stink and they really need to get their feet wet at like their position that they're going to play. You don't need to make it harder than it already is to get ready to go left tackle, left guard, right tackle. And Ryan did that, again, because he doesn't understand offensive line play. He doesn't understand the confidence of these guys. He doesn't understand the chemistry that comes between the guards and the tackles, the guards and the centers. So his fruit of playing 2 fields and everybody goes everywhere is coming to bear when you watch this on the field because, frankly, we stink on the offensive line right now. And it's Ryan Day's fault because guys couldn't actually master a position. Nevada, as we get into the defense, your thoughts on that, and then we'll go over to how the defense is playing.
Look, I'm not as down on the O-line as you are. I'm not down on the offense as a lot of people are. I think it's going to come back. I think the offensive line is going to have a big week this week. I love some of the concepts that they're working on. I love that they're starting to pull guys and starting to do some traps, starting to do some things where they can get some angles on guys that are, to not have to take guys straight on. Maybe that's not the best approach for this Ohio State team. Maybe it's moving, and I'm predicting 300 yards rushing, so that's good. Now defensively, I mean, look, we got a tight unit right now. I like it. Josh Proctor's back, going to be playing this weekend. I think that means obviously more Josh Proctor. It means, less Cam Martinez. It means less, I don't know. I mean, probably maybe Lathan Ransom, maybe Jahad Carter. I'm not sure what type of looks that they're going to employ, based upon the personnel, but, they're trying to get Jordan Hancock more on the field. He had 21 snaps last week. They're trying to equal that out. Sonny Styles was 31. He was 21. I think that'll balance out as they work forward, going forward. But the defense is ready. I was, going through some of the numbers today. We're talking, and people were asking on the board. They were like, "Why has Jack Sawyer underperformed so much?" And I was like, "Did you know that Jack Sawyer's got more career sacks at Ohio State than JT Tuimoloau?" Like, no, I didn't know that. I said, he's got 42 tackles and JT's got 51, only having played 2/3 as many snaps. Wow, I didn't know that either. And it's funny, but the ire gets focused on Jack, but from a productivity standpoint, from a productivity per play, he's much higher than JT. And I think the guys are both going to have really good years. The leading sacker, we were spoiled by watching Chase Young and the Bosa's play here. You know what the leading sacker in the NCAA had last year? 13 sacks. That's it. And if you had 9 sacks, you were in like the top 15 in the country. So it's like, do I think that JT and Jack can get to 9 sacks this year individual? I do. I really do. I believe they can do that. And so I just think we were spoiled by having guys that were just, once in a lifetime, once in a generational type of players. We just happen to have them back to back to back. But I think Jack and JT's time is coming, and I think it's coming quickly, as in this weekend. So I think it'll be a breakout for them, and that's going to be fun to watch.
I agree. I think that, when you have Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Chase Young, I mean, the three best ends in Ohio State history, it's hard to compare guys like Zach Harrison and Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau to those guys because they're the best ever. They're literally three top three-ish to five-ish picks. I don't know where Jerry went. I think Jerry went top three, but I know Chase went two. I know Nick went, top three. So again, that's hard. And again, those guys are the best we've ever had. So when you've got guys like Zach Harrison, who's a very serviceable third round pick, you've got Jack and JT. I mean, JT is universally regarded as a first round pick, even if he's not productive, he's not getting home. Every mock draft you look at has JT in the top 15. They have Jack in the top 30. I think it's going to be very interesting to see how these guys play this week. 'Cause frankly, there's ample opportunity to rush the passer. These guys are throwing it all over us. So I'm excited to see, is the pass rush going to be real? Is it going to be one of those things where, oh, we're cage rushing, or we're making excuses, or, oh, no, we're turning these guys loose, we're going to play coverage, and our front four has to get home. So Mike Hall, Jack, JT. That's probably the most fascinating storyline of the entire day for me, because I think that, Jack and JT can have huge days. I mean, this is a game where these guys are going to be, one-on-one with these tackles. They're not playing Penn State. They're not playing Bama or Georgia or Clemson. They should whip these tackles, and they should get after these guys. Now, if they do quicks and they're out in 1 second, then it's a lot different. But, again, I'm excited to see Jack. I'm excited to see JT. These guys get whipped kind of incessantly by our fan base, and I get it because they're Ohio State Buckeyes, and that's kind of what happens. But I think these guys have a real chance to silence their critics this weekend. Nevada, as we get into this, I'm going to break down a film clip real quick. I love this play. Again, empty box, nice easy box, handed to Trey. Again, this is what I love with Trey. When Trey decides, this is his own play, he gets up, presses the line, sees it all kind of break out, and he just breaks it outside. This is like my favorite play because this is like a free, I don't know, what, 7 or 8 yards, Nevada. Again, not a condensed box, not congested. You've got you got your over here, you got your 3-on-3 over here. Then you got your little short 6-man box. You get your other receiver here. We kind of give a little bit of a look of a read, even though we never actually pull the read option, so it's kind of stupid at this point. But it'd be cool if you ever pulled it because again, this is a pull read, by the way. So we hand it to Trey. It's probably not an actual pull. It's probably not a real read play. But, if Kyle ever pulled this, the end is crashing down. Now you have him sitting here, but it's just like, this is like 7 or 8 yards of just free money. But your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, the significance of that play to me, when you watch that play, is just the fact that we didn't pull everybody into the box. We didn't have 9 guys and 3 tight ends and 2 wide receivers all rolling into the box, and so it had become a mosh pit. We basically had, like you said, a nice light box, and you can run to a nice light box, and look, getting 7, 8, 9 yards with Trey. That we'll do that all day, and I think we'll do that all day against Western Kentucky. I think that's the idea. The idea is spread them out, which benefits your passing game because that's when your passing game's at its best. But that's also when your running game's at its best. So it's the best of all worlds, and then you get the best and the best and the best of all worlds if you actually have a quarterback that will make that read, that will pull the ball out, and then maybe attack the line with a run pass option as he's passing the line. Then the offense goes to a completely different level, but that's like 4-dimensional Spock chess, and we're not quite there yet. But getting better, improving. I think that was might have been the first play of the game. I know it was early, and I remember watching that and going, "Wow, we need to do this all night and let Trey eat or let whatever running back eat because that's something that Ohio State can do and do very well."
I totally agree. I think you spread it out. Again, I don't know what has gotten into Ryan Day's mind where all of a sudden you want to bring these receivers in and condense the box and bring more people into the box, but stop doing it. Spread it out. Run read option, hand it off. There's always going to be an extra guy in the box, but Trey can beat those guys. Nevada, two questions, and as we wrap this thing up, who is the leading rusher this weekend versus Western Kentucky, and who's our leading sack guy versus Western Kentucky? Wrap it up.
I've got Trey Henderson with 175 yards on the ground. I think we go for 300. I think we go for 300 as a team. I think Trey's going to eat. I think he's going to have big yards. I mean, the problem for Trey in Trey's career at Ohio State, he's only been given the ball more than 20 times, 4 times in his entire career,
Yeah.
and he's never as high as 28. We've never given him the ball 30 times. And so, like the days when you think back of the days of Archie Griffin or the great running back, just pick a running back.
Beanie Wells.
Yeah, just used to feed those guys. You know what I'm saying?
You had to.
Well, we've gone away from that. And I know we've got a deep running back room. I know that we've got, Chip and Mayan and Dallin and X and Evan, and we've got a lot of guys, and we're trying to keep everybody happy. But the reality is, running backs get into a rhythm like anybody else, and running backs will go. When they start getting hot and they start going, man, you want to feed those guys, and they just start feeling it and seeing the holes and doing it. And we never allow our running backs, or I shouldn't say never, but we rarely ever give our running backs the opportunity to start feeling the game, feeling the blocking, getting ready and get going. The last time that I think that we gave somebody 30 carries was Trey Sermon against Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game when he went for 314 yards, whatever it was, 375 yards, whatever that was. But
wow.
We don't do that.
Yeah.
We just don't. We don't do it. And when you spread carries, what ends up happening is none of the running backs really get going. And, I think that's an issue. So that's my pick on that. Defensively, I've got Jack Sawyer with 3 sacks this week, breakout performance, and everybody's on the Jack train and starting all sorts of Jack parades and stuff like that next week. And everybody's going to love Jack after Saturday because breakout game for him, gonna have a big effort.
Well, I'll be the first to say our running back rotations have been absolute garbage and trash over the last, 3 to 4 years. Like when we get reports about Trey Henderson and how great he was in practice, and then we get to the game, Mike Williams starts the game against Minnesota, then Master Teague plays and does absolutely nothing. Then Trey goes in and he gets like a 72-yard touchdown on his first snap or whatever. It's like, eventually you figure out that, hey, you got to play the most talented guys. Like in that running back room right now, Trey Henderson is a 1st or 2nd round pick. And the rest of those guys are undrafted free agents from Mayan to X to whoever. Dallin Hay doesn't even play. And again, Poyer doesn't even play. Evan Pryor doesn't even play. So you've got all these guys that we have high hopes for, but there's one guy who's the bell cow. And he's going to be here for another 3 months, and then he's out and going to the league. So you better get something out of him. Defensively, I love Mike Hall. I just think that he's, a lot of momentum. I think 2 sacks this week for Mike Hall. I'd love Jack to get 3, but this is a week where everyone's going to point to, because everyone's going to be like, oh, well, the first 2 weeks they ran the wishbone, the triple option, the veer. And now this week, it is all chuck and duck. So Jack has to eat, JT has to eat. Again, Indiana and UXL State were protecting their offensive tackles significantly to make sure that Jack and JT didn't get off. But this is a week where it's a different program. This is a program that beat South Florida. They got a little bit of momentum. They're not scared of us. So it'll be very interesting to see. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this thing up. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. With that being said, BuckeyesScoop.com will be on that all night. Thursday Night Football is about to kick off in about a half hour. So we appreciate you guys as always. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a like, click subscribe, and also click that little alert bell. Again, thank you so much. If you guys are on buckeyesgroup.com, I don't know what you're doing because buckeyesgroup.com is absolute fire. It is the absolute best website in the game right now. We'll have a crazy game thread go on, a big Thursday night thread go on. So go ahead and chime in on that if you guys are members. And as always, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Skip family. I'm going to talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.